Basically, the Higgs particle is a particle that originates from an invisible field that fills up all space, which doesn't make much sense because the article doesn't say what the invisible field is named.
Higgs.
Higgs, invisible field.
Later on.
So that's one thing you learned. What's another thing you learned?
The whole thing is actually a theory proposed by Eglert and Higgs, but they actually won a Nobel Prize for that, which proven.
So it's a theory, it's not fact.
Yeah, it's a theory, not fact.
What's one more thing you guys learned?
Well, basically the theory says that there are several types of particles. There's a type of matter. There's force matter, which moves things around, and there is physical matter. Is this the thing that is being moved?
Okay.
And one thing I found interesting is that it took 3,000 scientists and billions of particle collisions to find the Higgs particle.
Cool. How about the two interesting things you guys learned?
The second interesting thing I found was that they spent many, many decades just looking for the Higgs particle from like 1960 something, but now it's 2000. But then they found it in 2012, and that was like almost 50 years. And they had a lot of perseverance to go through it.
Okay.
And the one question I have is, what are they going to tackle next in this field? Are they going to tackle black matter or dark matter or what else?
One thing that I learned was that to make a nuclear bomb, you need uranium, plutonium, and isotopes.
Okay. Something else you guys learned?
An atom bomb works by initiating a nuclear chain reaction which releases a huge amount of energy relative to conventional explosives.
One thing that I learned is that there are 7 countries that declare that they have nuclear.
Does it say which countries?
Yeah, United States, Russia, UK, France, China, India, and Pakistan.
Okay. What about two interesting things you guys learned?
An interesting thing that I learned was that unit per volume of the atomic bomb could be more than millions and millions times the TNT.
Okay. Something else interesting?
And another interesting that I learned was that since there are 7 countries that possess nuclear bombs, if they join force and fires the nuclear bomb, then humankind could actually be extinct.
Finally, what's a question you guys are curious about?
Why, as humans, do we even need nuclear bombs? Why would we want to create nuclear bombs? Why? What is the point of a nuclear bomb? It's just an evil explosive made to explode other people so that they don't explode you. It's stupid.
The explosion, the disaster happened, the humans and animals and plant cells and the DNA code change, and that it causes cancerous growth.
Cancerous growth?
What I learned was that there's this element used for the process of the nuclear fission called uranium, and that's very fragile.
I learned that because of the government told to the people very late that there was a Chernobyl explosion, there was so many people dying because of radiation and so many people getting affected.
Yeah, go ahead. That's two things you learned two things that were interesting.
What I learned was that the radiation, it's invisible and you can't see it.
Okay. So it's invisible, you can't see it. Something else interesting maybe you learned.
When it happened, 186 firemen and 81 fire engines came to put it off, but they didn't know that it wasn't a normal fire to put out with water, so they had to call more firemen, and slowly the radiation made them feel sick and tired, and they start to vomit. Their gums began to bleed, their teeth and hair fell out, their skin started to bruise and bleed, and then they died.
And finally, what's maybe a question you guys have?
One question I have is that why is that urine? Why is it so fragile? Like not like the other atoms.